Welcome to Those Who Can't Do. I'm Andrea Forkham, and today I have with me again, Gabe Dannenbring. Hi.
Hey, so happy to be here. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I've got sitting back here because I did a tour at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, which is probably like I went there and I felt so incredibly stupid when I was there because everyone there is a genius. And I was like,
Yes.
this is an incredible place. This is awesome. Why am I here? And I was posting about it, and you were like, hey, that is 10 minutes from my house. And
Yeah.
when I saw the message from you, I was already on the plane. I was like, crap, that would have been a perfect time to meet up and go get coffee and talk about education. So I decided to
Yeah.
put that on my bookshelf,
I love
which
it.
I've got 28 levels on my bookshelf, and about 4 of them are full of books. So I need to find things to put in there.
Right. Right. Yeah. I remember that because you posted a picture and number one, you were at Rose Holman, with 10 minutes is probably even a bit far. It's because I drive past Rose Holman every single day to drop my kids off at their kindergarten. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way he's at Rose Holman. Number one, they couldn't have found a closer teacher influencer to bring to their school. Like they're just gonna fly Gabe in to chit chat. And you were with John Green, right?
Hank Green. I was
Hank
with Hank
Green.
Green. Yeah, and it was super cool. Like they brought me there to look at the school and talk about it, and then they're like, "Hey, this is our 150th anniversary. We got Hank Green who's here. Do you want to interview him and ask him some questions?" And I thought to myself, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, he was an interesting guy. He was really nice. He was really nice. He was normal for a celebrity. He was
Yeah.
very normal. So it was interesting. But yeah, I was bummed that we didn't get together.
I know. Yeah, it's so funny because I have a couple of friends who actually work at Rose Holman, and yes, you're absolutely
Hmm.
like Rose Holman it's a college, not a university, so they don't grant doctorates, but they are regularly like top schools for what they do. They are very much into like computer science and all that. So the people who go there are insanely genius. And one of the guys who works there, I was like, yeah, so I heard you had Hank Green on campus. And he's like, yeah, funny thing about that. Everybody like was real excited. And I was like, who's, and I'm like, how do you not know the Green brothers? Like John
Hmm.
Green lives in Indianapolis. He's always talking about how great it is living in Indianapolis and all that, which is about like an hour away from Terre Haute. And I was just like, you don't deserve to have been the place that Hank Green went and hung out. Like you didn't appreciate being in the
Hmm.
presence. I was fully jealous when you posted videos and pictures of you like just chatting with Hank Green and doing
Just
all that.
hanging out.
Just
Yeah.
just casually hang out with them.
See, and
Very
I thought
bitter.
Indiana was small enough where like every Indiana celeb that I've ever heard of would just all be hanging out. Like I thought I'd go meet Pat McAfee. Like I thought you'd be
Yeah,
hanging out there somewhere. It's
of
like, oh
course.
no, it turns out like that's not how this works. Like not
Yeah.
every famous person in Indiana is sitting in the same room. Like, oh, I'll go meet Jeff Gordon or something. He's from Indiana. Like, oh
Right.
no, doesn't work that way.
I
Doesn't work that
mean,
way.
Larry Bird, there would be kind of a chance because Indiana State, that is Larry Bird's home,
Hmm.
and there's a statue. I don't. Did you go into Terre Haute at all, or were you just at the university?
Yeah, so I went to some restaurant and it was really good. And it was in like, all right,
The
so
terminal?
it was I don't know if it was a terminal. It was like an old horse, not shed. What do you call
Oh,
those?
you went to
Like
Stables?
stables. Yeah, the stable. I don't know why
Stables.
I
Guys,
couldn't
this
think
is
of that.
real niche Terre Haute content right now. Yeah, Stables is like it's like the fancy, very expensive restaurant that we have in town.
Yeah, I didn't pay for it. It was on the company dollar.
I
It
hate
was
you.
delicious. It was
I
great. It was sweet. I was
yeah,
hoping to ride a horse there because like, oh yeah, horses used to live here, and like I ate dinner in like a stable booth. I was like,
mhm,
bring the horse out, let's go.
yeah.
But no, it doesn't work that
It
way.
does not actually come with horses. And so since last time you were on the podcast too, you got married.
I did. I did. Yeah, marriage.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so far marriage is so easy.
That
Oh my gosh. It's all we've done is get married and go on a honeymoon.
I
And
love it.
it's just been it's and, like if this is all marriage is for the rest of my life, I don't see
Yeah.
why people say it. No, I'm kidding. No, it's it, I marriage is awesome. Love my wife. She's super cool and yeah, marriage is sweet.
I
I
love
love it.
it. Congratulations. That's super
Yeah.
exciting.
What's new with you? What's going on? Your school year. Are you guys back in action now?
We are. Yeah. So Indiana State starts back in like mid-August. And then now I'm like working and placing teachers at the school. And I actually just spent today at some of the middle schools. And you're still, correct me if I'm wrong, teaching middle school. Yes.
Oh yeah. Yep. I'm
Okay.
in it. I taught today about the organelles and
Oh,
tried teaching my accelerated class about electromagnetism. Um, one of the lessons much better than the other. I'll put it that way.
wait,
Electromagnetism is not my strong suit.
no.
Not, no, no, no. When I got my degree in health education, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about how to teach about electromagnetism. But did you know if you take a wire and then you take a nail and then you take a 6-volt battery and then you put some tape on the ends of the 6-volt battery, it'll create an electromagnet. You can pick up paper clips.
I did not know that. Did you do that in class today?
We did do that. And you know what? The thing about that is that experiment was super sweet like 20 years ago, back
Yeah.
before we didn't have all this awesome technology. Now you do some of those like really simple experiments like the potato clock, and kids
Yeah.
are like, this is stupid. They're like, I've got Chat GPT that can do more impressive stuff.
Yeah. They have this thing now. I saw it at a recent professional development that they call the cube. Have you heard of the cube?
No, I'm interested.
Okay, so essentially the idea is that it's like it literally looks like a cube, but it syncs with AI so that students who are wearing either AI goggles or like VR goggles or have their phone out or something like that can look at it, and then through the lens, it will look like whatever you program it to look like. So potentially you could make it look like an organelle and like have them zoom in and turn it around and stuff. But
Ah,
what is in their hand is a box. But when they look through the computer thing and they're trying to sell it as like, this is this great technological, because people, it helps to touch the things and to look at it and have manipulatables and stuff like that. But like, you're still looking at a screen.
yeah, yeah,
So,
interesting. And I'm sure people will only use that for educational purposes. If they can program whatever they want to look at, it'll only be educational. It'll be
yes,
nothing bad.
in a
It'll
health
just be
class,
like,
especially. Yeah.
yeah, there are certain units you don't want to use that for health class. Maybe put the cube away for that one and take out the textbook.
Right. Yes, I
Yeah.
I would I would agree with that. So, okay, so this year, how do you feel like the vibes have been with your students, with your class? Like, do you feel like kids are starting to come back at like a post-pandemic level, or do you feel like they're like kind of back to normal?
That's such a good question. So and it's hard to tell because I don't know if this year is an abnormality for me because so far my year's off to an incredible start. Like it's been awesome. Kids have been great. Parents have been great. Like I've had very few issues. I haven't gotten a single FU from a kid yet, which I think is
Hey,
a new record. I've only
yeah,
written one offers referral in about 3 weeks, which is unheard
nice.
of for me. Like you, but I think it's just because the group I have this year seem to be very, very solid. I know other teachers are struggling with behaviors and things, but I don't know. I like I look at the effects like post COVID. Are we over the hump? Are we over the hump of, oh yeah, that learning loss, it's done with. Everybody got caught back up on their reading, caught back up on their math.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think we're there yet. I
right.
definitely think that kids have gotten better at almost hiding it. And I also think that a lot of teachers will say, "Oh my gosh, the curriculum that we teach now is so much easier than it used to be." So maybe we're seeing the effects of we've made the curriculums a little bit easier, and that in turn will make it easier for the kids to pass, which is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. That's for the listener to decide. But I don't know. That's such a good question. What are you seeing at the college level?
So within the college level, I see a lot of them talking about managing work-life balance in a way that I know for me for sure, like was never taught to me directly. It was never something I even thought about. It was just like you become a teacher and then you bleed yourself to death in the halls of the classroom and like just do all you can. And that is not the perspective of a lot of these students. They very much have a perspective of like, I'm going to go and I'm going to do my job. Um, and then I'm going to leave and I'm going to go home. And it's really fascinating to see this kind of a shift and how there's like this generational tension, I think, that happens between the more seasoned teachers who have been in the classroom for 15 years, who, when they were first year teachers, like completely devoted 12-hour, 15-hour days, and they have that expectations of the teachers that are coming after them.
Mhm.
And the new teachers are going into it saying, like, I will come in and work my contract.
Yeah. What do you attribute that to? Why are kids, but why is this generation of college kids doing that?
I don't know. Like, honestly, and I almost wonder, is it like one of those things where every generation says, like, the new generation doesn't know how to work? Is it one of
Uh-huh.
those things where we're just like, what they do and how work looks for them looks different
Mhm.
than it did for us. Therefore, they had, like, kids don't know how to work these days. But
Mhm.
I mean, I've assigned some homework this semester, and I never assign anything that, number one, I never assigned homework when I taught high school. Like, I taught
Mhm.
within the hours of the school day and all of that. But within college, I do, because there is an assumption, correct me if I'm wrong, but I had always heard for every 1 hour you spend in class each week, it's 2 hours of work outside of class, which
Yeah.
is which is why you're not supposed to take more than like 12 to 15 credit hours, because there
Mhm.
is an assumption you are doing work outside of the classroom.
Yeah.
Like, that was always what I had heard. Now, I don't try to get close to like trying to match that. Um but I had a student recently give some feedback, because I have them like journal each week, saying that, like, I am giving just way too much homework, and we're together
Mm.
3 days a week, and if you can't get the work done during those 3 days, like, that's kind of a teaching problem, not a learner
Hmm.
problem. And I'm like, first of all, bold. Like, real
That
bold.
yeah. That's ex yeah, yeah, keep going. I got some thoughts on that one.
Bold to say that. Like, and I do try and, like, I take everything that students say and kind of try and absorb it and think about, like, okay, is that really fair? Do we think that that's the case? And I wrote him a very long response explaining the whole credit hour thing, and then was like, Mike, like, I really don't give that much. I'm not giving, it's a 6 credit class. I'm not giving 12 hours of homework every
A
single
6
week.
credit class is a big class.
It's because it's technically two, because we
Yeah, I was
have
gonna say that's gotta be 2 classes.
it's technically two, because we have them in class for all of the coursework, and then we have them in the field. And so each section is worth 3 credits. And so I don't give that much homework. But I do give homework. There's probably each week 2 to 4 hours of homework I expect them to do each week. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of pushback. And I remember in college, like, it would never have occurred to me to be like, 4 hours of homework is excessive. Like, I would
Yeah.
never say that.
Yeah, I'll be blunt because you probably can't be as blunt as you want to since you work for the university.
Right, right,
But
right.
yeah, there's an expectation with college is hard. College is
Yeah.
hard. It's supposed to be hard. And one of the things that's hard is time management. And that's one of the important things about college is it's going to teach you how to manage your time. And you might have to do things outside of class hours. Like
Yeah.
I always thought the assumption was, yeah, the 1 hour, what did you say? 1 hour, well, one
1 credit
credit.
hour, 2 hours of, like, homework
Yeah,
outside of
yeah, I always
class.
thought that. Now, that doesn't mean I think professors should be assigning busy work to assign busy work, but yeah, you should be a little stressed out in college. That's okay. It
Yeah.
is okay to be a little stressed out. That's why they say college is stressful. That's why
Yeah.
most people don't have a job because their job is to do college. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, and that can open up a great conversation about have we gone over the edge on talking about work-life balance, school-life balance? There is a happy medium somewhere in there. Do I think that young people should be going home and having hours of homework all the time? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's right. Like my middle schoolers, I don't give them homework. I want them to go home and be kids. They're busy enough as it is.
Yeah.
And and then I don't wanna give them homework, but sometimes it's okay to say, "Hey, here's something you have to go home and do," and you have to show a little bit of initiative and show some responsibility and say, "I can't play video games tonight because I have to do my work," just like people do in the real world as they get older, and school is kind of a place for you to train in that way, where it's pretty low level stakes, where it's like, "Yeah, I can't go to the bars tonight because I have to go do a research paper about ed psych." Yeah,
Right.
that's kinda how life goes. You make those decisions. So, I don't know, but I could be completely wrong. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a counter to that argument. But I also think in education, people are really focused on that work-life balance and be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna bring on a bunch of work at home,"
Mhm.
partly because there isn't a pay raise for going above and beyond. Like, that
Yeah.
sounds bad to say, but there's hundreds of thousands of teachers that feel that way of, I'm not going to go above and beyond because what's there to show for it? Yeah,
Yeah.
the test scores might look better. Yeah, I might feel a little bit more prepared when I go to school, but there isn't the pay increase that comes with it. So then there comes the conversation of, should we give pay raises to teachers who have high test scores? Well, we know how that works. Some on paper, that sounds great. That sounds
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, high test scores, good teachers, give them money. Well, we know there's other factors that go into that. So that whole method isn't polished yet because we know there's so many factors. We know test scores that we're measuring how you do on one day. We also don't take into account what school are you at. We know that there's
Right.
schools that your clientele, your students are lacking the necessary resources at home. So yeah, they're not going to score super high because they're hungry. So
Right.
is that a showing of the teacher or is that basic psychology saying, hey, look at Maslow's hierarchy. We
Yeah.
know this is not going to end well because the student does not have the things that they need to be successful. So
Right.
I don't know, but yeah, the work life balance is important. It is important, and I always tell people that teaching is a marathon; it's not a sprint. So don't bring a bunch of work home early on in your teaching career because you're gonna get so burnt out, and then you're gonna be part of the community that leaves teaching after 3 years because they're like, "Ah, this isn't for me anymore." Which I'm not faulting teachers for doing that. That's just
Yeah.
where the data is. People leave at that point.
Yeah, and that's changed recently, right? Like you brought it was a Wall Street Journal article I think that talked a
Mhm.
little bit about how those numbers have shifted.
Yeah, so I this came across I read the Wall Street Journal a lot. I love it. I love the Wall Street Journal. I love the fact that I pay for the subscription. I feel
It
like
just
I'm getting
feels
something
good.
special. Yeah, I go look at the 3 stocks I'm invested in. I feel like I'm a
Nice.
Wall Street guy. So, this all of a sudden came across the front page. I'm like, "Oh, this is interesting. Let me look at this." And the the heading of it, it says, "Teachers are burning out on the job," which we know is nothing new. And then they had some really interesting graphs. And this graph it says, "Share of workers who said the stress and disappointments of the job are worth it." In 2016, 75% of teachers said, "Yeah, the stress, the bad days, it's all worth it." 75% said that. Now, fast forward to 2024. Everybody guess what number you think it's going to be? It is, drum roll, 42%. 42% are saying, "Yeah, this is worth it." 42% of teachers are saying that. Now, is that a cultural shift? Do we have a different mindset amongst workers? Like, one of my questions is once I read that is, okay, the 58% that say it's not worth it. If they went to a new job, would they say the same thing? I don't
Right.
know. That's the thing with data is you have to think all the way through it and not just look at a graph and, assume, oh, this is completely true. There's no fault in this data.
Yeah.
So I thought of that. Would 58% say, yeah, this isn't worth it anymore? I don't know. Teachers are pretty hard workers. People that get into the profession usually have a lot of grit. Usually they care about what they do. So I don't know if that 58% is saying, yeah, no job is worth it for me. Um,
They're like,
I don't I
I
just
don't
wanna be
want
a
to
stay at
labor.
home. Yeah, I just wanna stay at home. I just wanna play golf, which I've been there. I
Right.
don't know, what do you think? 42% of people are saying teaching essentially is not worth it anymore.
Well, is it
Or I'm sorry,
42%?
42% say it is worth it.
Okay, so like
42% say it is.
so like
So under half,
60 or what is it? 58 math, not my thing.
right?
58%.
Yeah,
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 is it
yeah.
a 58 say that it's not worth it?
Yeah. So I would also be really interested in seeing like when they got those numbers, how long have those teachers been in the classroom? Like, are we looking at teachers who have been in the classroom for 20 years who are saying, like, not worth it anymore? And I would
Mhm.
love to sit down and talk to them and be like, okay, so like, what do you feel like has changed? Because I feel like classroom, like management behaviors, expectations have all kind of shifted. But like, I don't know how to put that genie back in the bottle. I don't know what we
Yeah.
can do to help these teachers. And this week when I was going in to talk to some of the middle school teachers, it was really strange because last year I met all of these teachers in the county, and I placed my early field experience students with them. And so I've met with them and I've chatted with them before. And this time when I went in, the energy that I felt with them was just so discouraged. And
Oh, really?
they were so depleted. And I was really surprised because I like you said, it kind of feels like, and I've been talking to my teacher friends out in California, and they were really happy with their classes this year.
Mhm.
And so I was really surprised to find that they just were so discouraged. And several mentioned, wanting to get out of teaching, which
Mm.
like, and these are good teachers that I've seen how they teach. I see their relationship with their students, but I feel like they're part of that shift into the 58% that are like, it's not worth it anymore. And I don't know what we can do to like stop that, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I think the job is just different than it was. And this is nothing new. This isn't groundbreaking information, but I was talking with a good friend of mine who he's older. He's in his last couple years of teaching. He could retire. He has a whole bunch of kids. They're all older now. He used to be a full-time head coach and then taught really hard classes at the high school level. And I said, "How did you do all of that? How did you teach, coach, and you were a parent?" And he said, "Oh, it was way easier back then." He's like, "Yeah, part of the difference is I'm older and I don't have as much energy." But he said, "The job is just different. The job, coaching is different, teaching is different." So we're seeing that generational shift on people thinking, "Oh, this job is different than it used to be." And then they kind of look back at the glory days when it was easier. I think most people would probably agree teaching 20 years ago was probably easier in terms
Yeah.
of classroom management, but in terms of technology, that was way harder. There's so many tools that we have now that makes it so it's easier for grade books, easier for coming up with lessons, easier for last minute things. Yeah, that makes a huge difference. But I think the kid that we have to teach now is much different. I think the way that parents look at education, parents look at parenting is much different than it used to be. Some for good, some for bad. I'm not here to be the judge of that. That's for John Q. listener to decide. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, and none of this stuff is new information. Like we kind of talked
Yeah.
before, these conversations have been had. Well, what is it that's changing? I don't know. For me, this is year 5 of full time. I've been working in school since 2017. I think kids are slightly different post COVID. Definitely are,
Yeah.
but it isn't massively different than what I'm used to. But I don't have 30 years under my belt to be
Yeah.
able to come to that conclusion. What do people say at the college level with their students? Are they saying, "Oh my gosh, the college kid now is way different than the college kid 20 years ago"?
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of pushback about the work level that students are
Mm,
willing to commit to in their college classes and all of that. There just seems to be a shift of like, I don't want to have to do anything that is going to make me feel any level of discomfort, whether that is like interrupting my schedule or doing something that's just really, really hard. Like there's
mm.
just an aversion to that. Like, this is hard, therefore I'm not gonna do it. Like,
Yeah,
like for my
yeah.
mental health, I'm going to choose to protect my mental health. What did they say? Like, protect my peace.
Protect
And
my peace.
I'm going to
Yeah.
protect my peace and I'm not going to do this math homework. It just really interferes with my peace. And it's like, I see you. I get it. Like I too would love to protect my peace when I had to take a graduate level statistics course and my husband had to explain to me how to do statistics and it made me want to scream. That was not protecting my peace. But sometimes we have to do things that make us uncomfortable because we want what the results we need. Like I needed to know how to do the statistics to do the grad work, and I've noticed other professors mentioning the same thing where it's like students are like, yeah, no, I think it's really unfair of you to expect me to do fill in the blank assignment. And it's like, fair? Like, what?
Yeah, yeah, and it's and I think a lot of people, they hear about the mental health thing, protect my peace. They hear those phrases and yes, absolutely. There is a level to this of you have to take care of yourself. You
Yeah.
absolutely do. 100%. There's also times that I think we've gone overboard as a society, and there are millions of people in this in our country that want somebody to say that. They say, thank you for saying we've gone a little bit overboard on some of this. It's
Yeah.
okay to be uncomfortable. It is okay. And
Yeah.
I don't want to live in a world where nobody wants to be uncomfortable. I don't want to live in a world where people are so afraid to push the pain button a little bit.
Yeah.
Because what's going to make you better than the other people that are in your industry or the other people that are applying for your jobs or whatever you're in competition for people with is your ability to push the pain button and deal with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If you
100%.
if people are comfortable with being at a level of their job or schooling where they can do as little to get by without getting kicked out of school, getting kicked out of their job, and live that way, okay, you can go for that. That's not how I'm wired. That's
Right.
not how a lot of these people that are leaders in their industry, that's not how they're wired. And I
Yeah.
think it's okay to say that. I think
Yeah.
it is because I get fired up about this because we approach so much stuff. I say with oven mitts, where we gotta be
Mhm.
careful. Oh, we gotta be careful. You know what? Sometimes you gotta push the pain button a little bit, and you're
Yeah.
gonna be uncomfortable. But you know what? You're gonna teach yourself you can do uncomfortable things. You can do hard and challenging things, and it's gonna make you better in the long run.
Yeah.
Now, it's really easy for somebody to clip that and say, "This guy is heartless. This guy is this and that." But you know what? I believe that. And
Yeah.
so do so many other people, especially people that are industry leaders and hard workers. They say, yeah, it's okay to work hard. It is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and so I experienced the same thing. I have this vivid memory in like 7th grade, where I hit this moment when I was like 12, where I was like, I want to do things that people think I can't do.
Yeah.
I got this like random spark where I'm like, I like the feeling of someone going, you did that? And so
Mhm.
one of the first times that happened was when I talked to my gym teacher. And I was the kid in gym class that was like passive aggressively walking the mile on mile days because you can't force me to run, right? Like that was just my attitude. I was a terrible middle school girl,
So
right?
angsty.
And
So
so
sticking
you
it
don't
to the
know my
man.
pain, right? Like it was so ridiculous. And I would just like walk the mile passive aggressively. And I remember vividly telling this PE teacher who I had made miserable for the entire year by just doing the bare minimum always. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm going to try out for cross country. And she laughed and she's like, you? And I remember being like, uh, yeah, me. And so then I was committed, right? Because someone told me I couldn't do something or really reacted in a way that kind of said I couldn't do something. So I signed up for cross country. I was the slowest person. You know that scene in Jumanji where there's like the entire like stampede and then there's
Uh-huh.
the rhino at the end?
You were Rhino?
Oh, I was the rhino at the end. Just I was last on every single race. And my mom told me when I was a kid, she's like, I used to literally just sit there and cry because I was so proud of you because you always finished. You were so slow, but you always finished. And now I am a mom and my daughter is 6 and she loves to swim. She's a really good swimmer and she tried out for swim team and she made it, but barely. And now I have to watch her in swim team practice with a bunch of first graders and second graders, and she's in kindergarten, and she is the slowest right now. And I have to tell you, it is the most painful thing I have ever experienced sitting there watching her struggle. But exactly what you said is why I'm like, nope. Like, and she, every conversation we have is I'm like, I am so proud of you for working hard. Like,
Yeah.
this is super hard. And she's like, I'm the slowest. And I'm like, that's okay. Everybody starts out slow. You know how they get fast is they get back in the water and they keep pushing. And like, that I think is the thing that a lot of times we kind of try and like err away from is because we're afraid of making people feel uncomfortable or have any of that. But like, I'm like, no, because the reason I've done so much of what I've done in life is because of that stupid cross country team
Yeah.
where I knew I was coming in last. I literally like they would be picking up the cones as I was running by. Like I was so slow, but I finished and I learned so much about like tenacity and grit and like finishing the
Mhm.
race. So now my daughter is also, and she has never once asked to quit. she just kind of sits there and thinks about it. And she's like, yeah, okay, all right. Like, and I'm so proud of her, but it is like physically painful as a parent to watch your kids struggle like that. I understand why parents want to avoid that piece for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So I coach cross country, and running has been a huge part of my life. And the thing about running specifically is it shows you that you can do things that really suck. You can do it.
Yeah.
Like I'll always remember when I was a middle schooler, when I was terrible, man. I was bad in middle school. I always remember at this race, the coach goes, "Hey, there's 3 people behind you." And it was like, come on, man, there's 3 people behind you. You're better than this. You can do this. And that just sticks in my head, thinking
Yeah.
of, oh, I don't want to feel this feeling anymore. And I didn't
Yeah.
quit. I went on and ran on a nationally ranked cross country team in college. Like
Oh, your ending story is different than mine.
yeah, but the thing is, the lessons that you learn from sports will stick with you for so long. And my
Yeah.
dad, he was my cross country coach, and one of the things that he would always do, we would have Saturday morning practice, Saturday morning, early morning, and I never understood why we would have Saturday practice. I'm like, Dad, just let's go run by yourself. If I want to go run at noon on Saturday, let us go run at noon on Saturday. And
Yeah.
now as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, I get why you did that. You did that to show us, hey, Saturday mornings when you want to be sleeping in, no, go do something hard, go do something difficult, and then go see what you can accomplish. And that sticks with me. It's like I can do these challenging things. I looked up a quote here, and I'm not going to act like this was my quote. This is a Michael Jordan quote. Michael
Okay.
Jordan literally said this. So he's a team owner of a NASCAR team, and I love NASCAR. And one of his drivers was in a kind of a tough, high pressure situation, and MJ sent this text message that said, "Things you want more cost more." And I think about that a lot. Things you want more cost more. So if you want to accomplish things, if you want to be, if you want to do very challenging things, if you want to be at the top of your industry, if you want to be good at whatever it is, it's going to cost more. You're going to have to
Yeah.
do something. I think about another quote that says, if you want to do things that, if you want to do things that most people aren't doing, you have to do things most people aren't doing. And
Yeah.
that sounds like word salad, but that means most people are not at the top of whatever industry they're in. So if you want to get to the top, you have to do things that most people are not doing. What is that? And now that doesn't mean everything should be a competition in your industry. No, but that should also mean it's okay to work hard. It's okay to try to accomplish things, and it's okay to push the pain button a little bit. Now, with all that being said, there's lots of young people that have that mentality. Lots of young people think that way. They're like, yeah, I do want to work hard. I do want to accomplish this. But there is much more of a dialogue of people saying, yeah, I care about your mental health. Well, at what cost? At what cost
Right.
are we just making things so soft for people? And I don't know.
Yeah.
There's also young people are living in a different world than you and I grew up in. They're living
Yeah.
in the world of social media, living in the world of having so much access to information. Yeah, it is more challenging. It does feel like it is heavier on them. But I guess the
Yeah.
counter argument to that is, well, we're all living in the same world, aren't we? Aren't
Right.
we all dealing with it? Aren't we all trying to
Exactly.
find our way? So
Right. That is a perfect place for us to take a break. So we will be right back. Welcome back to Those Who Can't Do. So picking up on doing hard things and working hard and all of that, I came across a TikTok this week that was from a mom who posted about her child's homework. And we've both said that we don't assign homework I didn't assign homework for high school unless students didn't get the work done during class that I had allotted them time to do, then they would have homework. But I always gave ample time. But this parent apparently got some homework for their kindergartner. So let's watch the TikTok.
It's a little PSA for any parents that might not know this, and I just recently learned this, is that you can actually opt out of homework for your children. I didn't know that until recently, and I just sent my son's kindergarten teacher a cutesy little email saying, I'm sorry, based on the stress, mental, physical anxiety it's causing my kid, we are done. We are done opting out for the rest of the year. On the first week of school, maybe the first day, he got this packet. It's for August. It doesn't look like it's all that bad, but it's about 15 to 20 pages, double-sided. You do the math. We have been working on it and trying to work on it to the best of our abilities, and it is causing him so much mental, physical stress. This morning I had him sit down. I feel so guilty for this. We were sitting down. I told him, you can't even watch a show this morning. You can't do anything. It's going to be radio silence until you sit here and eat your breakfast and finish at least 1 or 2 pages of this, because you're way behind. This is so much work for him. I started crying. He started crying. It was an emotional mess. I felt so guilty dropping him off at school. He didn't want to be there. For the last 2 weeks, he's told me he doesn't even like school and doesn't want to be there anymore, which hurts my mama heart because you were 5. You were in kindergarten. The only thing that you should be worried about is learning and what time snack time is. I don't know. Anyways, but what are we teaching kids? What are we teaching them? That, oh yeah, here you go. You're going to go to work and you're going to be paid salary, but it doesn't matter if you don't finish your work in the 8 to 10 hours that you're there Monday through Friday. You're going to bring that work home and you're going to do that on your own time. No, not up in here. We are not teaching our children that. Work to live. We don't live to work. Yeah, I don't know if y'all knew that, but I sent her the email. I hope it's well received. I don't know. He goes to a charter school, but still doesn't matter. In this household, we're done doing homework. I want my kid to love school. I want him to love to learn. I want him to have fun. I want to enjoy it. Yeah, I just think y'all should know if you didn't know that. Happy Monday.
A lot to unpack there. A lot to unpack. I have many, and number one, as a mom, I understand her perspective of seeing your child struggle with homework, and being very concerned about changing their mindset about the way they look at school and all of that. That being said, the irony of her saying that nobody works a salary and then takes their work home, and because they didn't get it done during the day, too bad. So I'm like, that's what teachers are. Yep, that's what teachers do. Yep, you are describing what teachers and what a lot of people
and
do.
Many other careers.
Many other careers. My husband's in the medical field and he's a PA. And guess what? If he doesn't finish his charting during the day, he will then have to go home and finish his charting. So many fields, you have to work until the work is done. Now,
my mother is a dance teacher and owns her own company and is always working.
Yeah. She's probably got to do the books, got to do all of that kind of stuff. And
everything.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot to unpack in a short video.
Right.
And I want to be careful and make it so I'm not coming at it from a personal attack. I'm sure she's a wonderful mother. I'm sure she's a great person. Yeah. I think one of the things that I've learned about myself as I've had a little bit more time in schools and around parents is I don't understand parent emotion until I have a kid, if that makes sense. I don't know, the work hard, pull yourself up by your bootstrap part of me is saying, oh, you know what? Well, it's okay for your kid to feel uncomfortable. That's all right. They should feel uncomfortable. Just keep going. It's going to build character.
Yeah.
I want to go there in my head, but I'm also wait a second. This is someone's kid. I don't have a kid, and I don't know what it's like for my own child. Maybe the child she's saying is a super, super hard worker and now seeing him break down. And she's like, this isn't right. I know my kid works hard. And now this isn't something's not right here. So I don't know. There's a happy medium between at what age do you give kids homework and how much do you give kids homework? And then also you're at a charter school, there's high expectations.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think number one, I don't think that this teacher would have dealt with this if she had given the homework 1 page at a time.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that she gave a huge packet and that immediately overwhelmed the child and the mom. I think if she had probably just given a sheet a night, right? Because that's basically what did she say, 20 to 30 pages over the course of a month, you're looking at a page. And my daughter has homework assignments. And actually, so my daughter, she's actually repeating kindergarten because she was very, very young for her class. And with ADHD and all of that, we just made the decision it's better for her to do it again. So right now she doesn't, but at the end of the year, I know she's going to have homework again. So right now I'm giving her homework. Because one of the reasons we chose to repeat is because reading was really challenging and phonics were really challenging. I don't want her to lose all the progress we made last year. So every single day we come home, I sit her down. we go through and we read for 10 minutes. Like we're not talking like an hour or anything, but we sit for 10 to 15 minutes and we practice her reading. Now, my son is 4 and he's in preschool, and all the expectations are of him right now in preschool are, if we're doing something and the teacher asks you to do it, you should be doing it, right? Like that's it. And yet I got a call the second week of school that he was not meeting those expectations.
He was not saying yes. He said, okay, I'll do it. Nope.
So they were using a metaphor. They're like, okay, your thumb and your pointer finger, that's like the mommy and the daddy, and the mommy and daddy drive the car. And the kids, the other fingers, they sit in the back seat. And that's how you draw. And so what he would do is he'd be like, no, the kids drive the car, and would just like grab the crayons and just to like troll her essentially. And so because of he was literally refusing to do anything, kept getting sent to the administrator's office because he was just like, no, I'm not doing it. And so for him now, what he has to do every day when we get home is we practice listening and obeying for coloring. So because he doesn't enjoy coloring, I have one coloring sheet. It's been 3 weeks now, one coloring sheet, and he has to sit and he has to color for like 2 minutes, color one part of the page just to like reinforce the whole, like if a parent or a teacher says we sit down and we do the thing, you should sit down and do the thing. And I wouldn't think that's controversial. I posted a video about how my son had gotten in trouble at school and all of that. And there were so many people that were like, that's insane. How can you expect a 4-year-old to just listen? And I'm like, here's the deal, you guys. My son is a flight risk every single day. Like he's the type of kid that where I am is irrelevant to him. I need to know if I say stop or a teacher says stop, he stops before he gets hit by a car. Like just safety wise, I need to know that he will listen. And he really is just so stubborn. And so I'm like, God, like, how do we not realize that? Like, they do need to be on board with what we're doing. Like, it's not insane things.
Because they're kids.
Because like, they're kids.
They're freaking kids. Like, I think as a society, sometimes we start to look at kids like they're adults. It's like, wait a second, they're a kid. Yeah. They don't run the show. Yeah. Like, no. They are a kid. Their brain is not developed. Now, should you listen to your kids? Absolutely. Should you take what they say seriously? Absolutely, you should. But you still should be the authoritative figure because you're a parent. Like,
so and that's the crazy thing is like I shared like that little story on social media and people are like, well, he knows what he wants. And I'm like, this is the same child that the other night I was snuggling with him and I was like, good night. And he gently stroked my face and he said, Mommy, did you know your face peels off? And I'm like, whoa, like kids are unhinged. Like they're not going to make the best of choices. We should probably help them with that process. And it was baffling to me how many people said that. But we also have a follow-up video from that same creator about the teacher's response.
Okay, I want to give you guys a little update on the homework teacher situation. So I emailed her around noon, picked him up from school at 2:30. She walked him over to my car and she's like, oh, I got your email. And I said, oh, great. She said, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to respond. I said, no big deal. I know you're busy. She goes, I've just never had a parent email me something like that or complain. And I said, never once did I complain. I just addressed a situation that's no longer going to work for our family. And I'm pretty certain that you can't mandate homework, especially for kindergartners. And she said, okay, I understand. Well, I know all students are different. I just didn't think I was giving out that much work. And I said, okay, y'all, I went home and counted the pages. It's 15 pages, double-sided, 30 pages of homework. And she was trying to tell me like, oh, he can just do one a night. So he's also supposed to be doing homework on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, like every single day in the entire month of August. You don't want to work on weekends. I told her that. I go, when you're done, when your kids go home from class, do you want to stay back and work another couple hours every day? Do you want to work on weekends? I know teachers do. I give teachers a lot of credit, but put yourself in their shoes. And she was like, well, how about we do a reading log? And I said, I'm down for a reading log. We can do 10 to 15 minutes a night, 5 days a week. That works. That makes sense for a 5-year-old. I think she got a little irritated with the fact that I said like no homework at all because she's like, well, he needs to learn his sight words. They're going to be on the state testing and he's going to be tested on that and that's important. And I'm like, Have you ever tried to sit down with the 5-year-old, maybe a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, any kid, and want to try to do homework when they literally, physically, mentally, emotionally are not there or invested? They are not learning or absorbing the information. So regardless of whatever sight words he needs to learn, if he's not in a good mood, he's making the whole tension in the house upset, they're not going to learn those sight words in this moment anyways, no matter what. And we try to make it fun. I try to make it entertaining. I try to make it playful. It doesn't matter. He doesn't want to sit there and do it. He don't want to sit there and do it. My kids are just like me, stubborn as fucking hell. So I get what she needs with the state funding and all this shit. I get it because it's a fucking public school. And public schools are just indoctrination camps, and I know that. Even a charter school, it might as well be the same. I still put my foot down. I'm happy to read with him. He enjoys reading with me, but I stand my ground. We're not doing homework in this house. Like, I don't fucking care. I told her we would do our best to finish out the packet for this week, turn it in on Thursday. We won't even be here Friday. We'll see what she puts together for next month, but no more fucking packets are happening in this house. That's for damn sure.
First of all, okay, I forgot to mention this with the first video. Is that true that we can't give homework? Because I don't think that's true.
I was just gonna say that. I like how the basis of the argument is. She's like, you can't do that, and from the teacher side, it's like, yeah, I can.
We can. You don't have to
Pretty-
do it, and
Pretty
it
sure I can.
yeah, like that. I think is the
So, and these types of videos are always so interesting to me. So that first video, I'm willing to bet, and if you look at the comments, and I haven't looked at the comments yet, I'm willing to bet you're going to see a big split on people saying, oh my gosh, that's crazy what the teacher's doing. That's insane. These teachers nowadays. That's going to be 50% of the argument. And then the other 50% is going to say, oh my gosh, just work with your kid. Just work with your kid. Kids shouldn't run the show. Like, I feel like that's probably what the comments are going to look like on that first video. Now, the second video, I think it was going to be much different. Shout out to the teacher for bargaining with her and be like, all right, let's do a reading log. Let's do it, like trying to make it work. Now,
Right.
if what the mom is saying is true, is yeah, my kid is supposed to be doing homework on Sundays. Yeah, let's avoid that.
Right.
Yeah, let's avoid doing homework on Saturdays for elementary kids. I would get on board with that, but I don't have all the facts here. I don't know what's the actual due date. Like,
Right.
are those pages truly due where you're gonna have to do 7 days a week of a one pager? Yeah, that's a lot. But
Right.
is that actually the case?
Well, and I think that there's also just kindergartner homework is not 11th grader homework. We're talking about like you read the instructions and it says, hey, color all of the spots that have a 7 orange so that they know what a 7 is and what orange is.
And they
Like,
know how to move their hand.
let the
The
parents
kids
drive.
in the back seat.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
right. Exactly. And so for me, like she said, 30 pages, that is a lot. I don't know what those pages look like. Is it like they're having to trace all of these words? I could see that being excessive and all of that. I think it's really funny again that she's just like, would you want to stay here after the kids leave? I'm like, baby girl, she does. She does. And she's also trying to have you ever had to sit with a child this age and try and get them to work? That's what we do.
Teaching.
You mean
that's
teaching? You
Uh-huh.
mean spending 20 minutes every day with your own kid? One kid at the kitchen table is extremely frustrating for you. We get it. It's all day
That's
for us,
why-
baby.
That's why Louis C.K.'s bit about math teachers is so perfect. Where have you ever seen that?
I don't think I have.
Oh, it's so funny.
Is
He's
that
like,
the
"Math-"
learn math one where it's like you just have to make kids learn math? Is that the one?
No,
Oh,
it's the one where he's like I think he says like only crazy people won't become teachers, and it's like you're the people that are there to learn are just they live in the area around the school. None of them want to be there. None of them
Right.
want to learn what they're doing, and you're gonna get paid hardly anything to do it.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of this situation where it's like, yeah, those kids just because they're in school doesn't mean they want to be there and learn. Like, yes, a kid goes home at night and they really don't want to learn the information because they're a kid. But you know what? There's also kids that are like that all the time in the classroom.
Yeah.
But once again, I don't have a kid. I don't know what it's like at home. And I'm not just dogging on this gal. Like, and how your kid acts is how your kid acts. You know your kid the best.
I do appreciate like the frustration of like she, also has a busy life, and it is hard as a parent to come home after a long day and then you sit down with your kid who's tired and they've kept it together all day in kindergarten and you then have to try and get them to work. But for the parents that are so frustrated by that, I just want to encourage you, like it may be, and this is awful to say, but it may be the only one-on-one instruction that they are receiving, because I would love to say that every kindergarten teacher has only 18 kids in their class and has the time to spend individual instructional time with every single kid. But let's be realistic. Most classrooms, they have more than 20 kindergartners. I can't fathom that, by the way. That is a nightmare to me.
Crazy. I can't fathom teaching elementary. I'm so not wired that way. I'm so not wired that way.
That's terrifying. Like they just learned how to stop pooping their pants and now you're going to try and teach them to write their name. That's insane to me. Like wild, wild job. And so then to say like, hey, parents, like we want to partner with you to help your child get a little bit more individualized time on these things to make sure that they keep up. I don't feel like that's an unfair ask. And I feel like that is one of the things that has changed is I remember doing flashcards with my mom. I remember because big surprise, math was really hard for me. And so I had to do multiplication flashcards with my parents until I figured it out. And I remember crying and I probably ruined the whole family's mood.
The whole vibe.
With the whole vibe was ruined by me. I guarantee you. But we had to learn it because my parents were like, well, if you don't learn this, then you're not going to move on. And especially in those first few years, like that was one of the main deciding factors for me with making educational decisions for my kids is like, if they can't read at grade level by third grade, they are unlikely to ever get to grade level. And they will always be behind their peers because now they're using reading to learn about science and history and all these other things. And so it's like, okay, we need to really make sure that she can get there, right? And so I hope that mom's reading log makes up for anything that was missed in the work packets. Again, I also applaud that teacher because I think that is a really great way of responding, of being like, okay, like, because I think I would probably respond the same way. I wouldn't be like, no, your kid has to do this homework. I think it would very much be like, okay, well, let's figure out what's going to work for you and your family. I don't know what that would look like in a grade book. That would be really hard because like and I also don't know in kindergarten how grade books even work. I feel like it's just like smiley faces and like
stickers,
like emojis,
Yeah.
like they were
you
here.
You get a green star today. You get a yellow star. Yeah. I don't know. I was talking to a teacher at my school who is also a parent. And I was just talking about parenting stuff. And because I hope to one day be a parent and it scares the crap out of me. And one of the things that this teacher said, she said, as a parent, try not to take the path of least resistance all the time. I was like, oh yeah, that really does make sense. Don't take the path of least resistance all the time because like, I think there are so many parents that are so stretched thin. They absolutely are. There's parents out there that are exhausted and they come home and their bills are tight, money's tight. They've got so much going on. And you know what? They do just want to give their kid their iPad. They need some time. I get it. I 100% get that. And I feel for those parents.
Yeah.
But there's other situations where don't take the path of least resistance. And now that is so easy for me to say as a dude who doesn't have a kid. I understand that. But I think most parents would say, yeah, that's probably pretty sound advice. And that's a good thing to say.
Yeah. And it's something that I've recently had to adjust with, because, my husband just finished grad school. I, finished a year ago. And so we are very used to being stretched very thin and being very overtired with everything. And so we were sitting there trying to figure out with our kids and just working on, because we would go somewhere and they would be the kids that were acting a fool because we're not iPad parents. And a lot of parents who have kids like that just give them the iPad and we don't do that. But that means that they're acting a fool in public. And I'm like, this is embarrassing. Like they've got to get it together. And so we started talking about things that our parents did that we hadn't done yet. And so one of the things is chores. And
nice.
Being super intentional about eating at the table. Because a lot of times we would just like, I would make dinner and then we would eat like in the living room or whatever. And we kind of got into that habit over the course of a year. And now we eat dinner at the table, and my son has to help me with the dishes and has to wipe off the table, and my daughter has to sweep and mop. And the fact that they now have like an expectation of them where they have to listen and obey and do a task that is annoying to them, but they have to do it because like it just kind of like trains that. And I think that we kind of got into that habit, like you said, of like taking the easier way because we were just tired, you know?
Yeah.
And it was really frustrating and really humbling to kind of be sitting there and being like, well, we can't keep doing what we're doing because this is embarrassing. Like our kids are acting wild. We do not want to be those parents. Like we want to instill a sense of like discipline and like they need to be functioning people. And it was really hard for a few days, but I got to tell you, like behaviors got way, way, way better when we all of a sudden were like, expectation is your butt is in that seat for dinner. And then you are going to clean and you are going to help because you are part of the family. And it's exactly what your friend had said, where it's like, okay, we're not going to be taking the path of least resistance because...
And I apply that in my classroom as well, where I caught myself this week where I was trying to give a lesson, and one of my class periods, they're really chatty, really chatty. My other class periods, they're not super chatty. And my notes went really smooth in the other class periods. And then this one class period, they're really chatty. And I thought to myself, all right, let's just get through these notes in this presentation really quickly so we can just get to the activity. And I was like, no, wait a second. I'm taking the path of least resistance here. These kids are capable of stop talking, focus for a little bit, and pay attention to this information. I think as teachers, we can apply that in our classroom of don't take the path of least resistance. But the flip side of that is, yes, each class period, you do have to kind of tailor it to the kids that are in there, and you do have to make some tweaks. But it's also okay to tell students, hey, this is going to be a little uncomfortable. By uncomfortable, I mean, you're going to have to pay attention and do something that's not fun. And I think that's something that is really big with kids that they have to hear is, we're going to do something that is not fun, but it's worth it. It's going to be okay. I remember when I was a kid, when I would do tutoring, I was always a bad reader. I was bad at math. I was bad at school. I was a really well-behaved kid, but I sucked at school. I remember my parents would send me to tutoring, and it was not fun. Learning to read was not fun. But you know what's awesome now as an adult is I'm caught back up. I'm not behind on my reading because my parents put a lot of money and time and energy into helping me and giving me the resources that I needed to get caught back up. And I'm so lucky that my parents did that. There's other kids that they don't have that. I completely feel for those kids where when you, like the point you said, if you get to third grade and you're not at reading level, stats show you're probably never going to get to grade level reading, which is horrible. Like that sucks for those kids.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to make sure we do is, do you have any stories of things that have happened this year with your students? Anything wild that has occurred?
Nothing too chaotic yet. I felt old the other day. I told my cross country kids that I graduated high school in 2016, and oh my gosh, they thought I was about ready to get my AARP card. One of the kids, he goes, "You graduated in 2016. You're approaching UNC status." I said, "That is so funny. That is so funny." Because like UNC status is the older guy, kind of wiser. I was like, I'm 26 years old. I am not approaching UNC status. And I always tell kids when they give me a hard time for my age, I'm like, listen, it's the people my age who are setting the trends. I am as trendy as they possibly, like you guys follow the trends that my age sets. So at some point I'll be out of that age demographic, but no, I really haven't had too many crazy stories yet. I had I don't know, a lot of the older students from years past will come down and say hi. And that's always fun, but nothing crazy yet, which is good, which is really, really good. What about you? Have you had anything crazy at the university?
Nothing, university, when you're paying to be there, you're usually not going to be too wild. Like most of the time that they're really cool. And I teach all future teachers. So they're not like being disrespectful and all that, which for content is terrible, honestly. I'm like, can you guys like, I don't know, do something, do some shots before you come in. Let's liven this up. Let's spice things up. But I was at the middle school today, and it's, because you're there every day. So I'm sure that students, when they first arrive, they're like, you're that TikTok teacher, right?
Yeah.
And are like super hyped about it, right? But you're there every day and then they get over it and they're like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, I am so rarely now around that age that like I went in to talk to a teacher today, and it was a group of eighth graders. And sixth and seventh graders don't recognize me. Eighth graders, usually I get a couple. And so I went in just to talk to the teacher, and I'm trying to talk to her, and I hear them in the background being like, that's that TikTok teacher. That's the one. She talks about the stuff on TikTok. And I'm like trying to focus on the teacher. And I brought my graduate assistant with me, and she's like, me? I'm not on TikTok. Who's on TikTok? And I'm just like, shut up, shut up, shut up. Because I'm just like, number one, I don't want to distract because I was already interrupting class. Yeah. Teacher wasn't doing direct instruction, but I didn't want to disrupt what they were doing. But I also didn't want to be a jerk. And so I just kind of like, and like awkward. And I'm so awkward especially if it's a crowd, right? Like if it's one student who comes up to me, I'll be like, what's up? And I'll chat with them. But if it's like a crowd, I don't know. I'm like a deer in headlights. Like I've gone through before at like a crowd of people. One time after a board teacher's show, I was walking out and there was a crowd of people and they're like,
you probably feel like a celebrity there.
I do. Yeah. That's what I tell people all the time. I was like, anytime I feel bad about myself, I'm like, I'm going to go to a teacher comedy show. I'm going to call it Gasper. I'm going to go to a board teacher show. I'm going to just slide in there, feel famous for a couple hours, and then go home. And my kids will humble me very quickly again. But like I was walking out and there was like a crowd of people that were like waiting for Ubers or whatever. And all of them, somebody said, Educator Andrea. And they all looked at me and like, I don't know what to do in that scenario. Like, I'm just like, hi, like, hello. Like
that is me.
It is I. Like,
do you have a question for me, or are we just going to stand here awkwardly and look at each other?
Right. And like my car was like 10 feet away and I had not cleaned it recently either. And so like I open up my car and like a piece of trash like falls out. I'm like, I'm going to go and I'm going to need everyone to forget that this occurred. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now. Like, so embarrassing. But yeah, nothing too chaotic for me. Somebody submitted a story where they said a eighth grader threw a dead fly at the teacher, and they're like, "Why did you do that?" And they're like, "I just wanted to cause chaos." And I'm
lack
like,
of frontal lobe development. Lack of frontal lobe development.
That's just like the middle schoolers.
I'll say, like, as like a dude who now has a fully formed frontal lobe, the way that I look at life is so differently. It's incredible. I always think about mitigating risk now. All of a sudden, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'll watch. The other day, I was watching like the Avengers. Like there was a Marvel movie that was on TV, and when I was younger, I'd be like, "This is sick. This is awesome." And now I watch it and I see them just like destroy this city. I'm like, I wonder if there's gonna be like government subsidies that help pay for this, or like how
like
they
thinking of logistics.
I'm like, how would these insurance claims work? Like, man, that would really suck. Would my insurance guy pick up if my car got? And like, I just start going down this path. I'm like, dude, I wish my frontal brain was a little less developed. Now I'm becoming I am approaching punk status. Maybe those kids are right.
Yeah, when you start thinking about the insurance implications of Marvel's movies, I think that's the moment. That's the moment you've passed over. Just wait until you're a dad too, and then you're just going to be like, that person who he just punched, I know they're a bad guy, but that was somebody's little boy at one point.
They were once a baby.
They were just a little baby. Yeah. And it really gets in your heart. It's real rough. So, okay, before
I want to ask you, how is your book going?
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
It is so good. It's so much fun. It's so much more fun to write than I thought it would be. I don't know why. I think because most of the writing I've done has been academic. And so I'm sitting and like doing research and all of that. But all of the chapters in my book are I'm working on the classroom management one. And so the very first thing I do in all of my chapters is I tell a story of where I screwed up. And so I have had so much fun with that part because it does feel a lot more creative, a little bit more in the vein of like what my TikTok videos do and all of that. And that's been super, super fun. At the same time, kind of talking with my teacher friends and being like, okay, like what do we need to include in the classroom management one, and all of that. But yeah, it's been really, really fun so far. So
Good.
thank you for
Good, good.
asking. That's great.
It's so cool. I can't wait for when it comes out to get a signed copy. I
Oh,
want
heck
it
yeah.
signed.
Yes, you will absolutely get one. I was just talking with the whole team, and I'm like, okay, like everyone who's come on the podcast, we have to like make sure that we like send like signed copies and all of that to them, since they like took the time and all of that. So it feels so far away, but at the same time, like I have to be done with my writing portion by April of 2025. And then it's releasing like the following year, because the rest of the year is like editing and marketing and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm working a lot on it. But then I tell people it's like, like spring, summer of 2026. And they're like, oh, like that's so far away. I'm like, yeah. But
it's like, oh, do you think writing a book was easy? Someone just sits down and they just do it. Yeah,
exactly. It's hard work, but it's been super fun. So what do you have going on? Where can people check out your latest stuff?
Check out my stuff, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Look up Gabe Dannenbring. On Facebook, there's an account that is called Gabe Teaches. That's not me. Quit following it. They've got like 89,000 followers. Like, how many
They're
more times
making
am I going to report
money.
this? I know. It's like, come on, man. I'm trying to get some of that. Like, bring
Seriously.
that over here.
Yeah.
Bring that monetization from my own videos over to the guy who made the videos. No,
right.
But I'm on everything Gabe Dannenbring. Check out the Teachers Off Duty podcast. I'm on there quite a bit. So that's on Spotify, YouTube.
You fly out to Florida for that, don't you?
Yeah, it's a lot. Last week flew out, took the first flight out of Sioux Falls on Saturday and filmed all day, then took the first flight back from Orlando on Sunday, and I'm still recovering. I'm still tired.
Yeah, I bet. So, that's awesome. So, so do you have any like live events or anything like that, or you're doing the podcast thing and
podcast stuff? Not a ton of live events during the school year, which is something that I really wanted to. You know how it goes with this social media teaching world. You got to keep the first thing first, and for me, the first thing that has to stay first is teaching. I can't just be burning both ends of the stick. I'm on the road a little bit for different events and things. I had the coolest event that I've ever been asked to speak at. I got asked by my college to be the commencement speaker. And
that's amazing.
I got the email and I was in the middle of class and I about started crying. I was like, this is crazy. Like, you want me to be the guy? I said, how many people declined? Like, am I like 10B on the list? Am I like way down? Are that many people busy? So I'm super excited about that. So if there's any Morehead State Dragons listen to this, I'll be there. See you in Minnesota, everybody.
I love it.
Yeah. What about you? You never get to plug yourself. What do you got going on? What's going on?
You basically already covered it with the book. That is the main thing, is the book. And my life right now is like book, podcast, college, teaching stuff, all of that good stuff. So yeah, but thank you so much for coming on. This was super, super fun. I appreciate it. And I hope you'll come on and hang out with us again.
Hey, you send me the invite. I will be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Will do. All right. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Those Who Can't Do. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Gabe. It was so fun chatting with him again, especially since he was, one of the people who came on early on in the podcast. And I just think it's really fun to hear from somebody who's still very much in the classroom and still really enjoys it. I think it's excellent. So definitely go check him out on the Teachers Off Duty. That's what it is. Board Teachers is who runs it. That's why I got it mixed up. Teachers Off Duty podcast. He and a few other people who have had on the podcast are over there, and it's good stuff. If you have thoughts about what we chatted about today, or suggestions on who you want to have come on to the podcast, you can contact us at andrea@human-content.com, or you can contact me at Educator Andrea on Instagram and TikTok. Or you can contact the whole Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok at Human Content Pods. And thank you so much to those of you guys who have left feedback and reviews. I really appreciate it. I read every single one and they mean a lot to me. So thank you specifically to Norm0805 on Apple, who said, I'm not a teacher, nor is my profession any way related to education, but I happened to come across Andrea on Instagram one day and found her reels very entertaining. Oh, thank you. I then tried listening to her podcast and really enjoy hearing about that world. She'll probably love me for this comparison, but I also enjoy listening to Office Ladies podcast. I do love you for that, for similar reasons. They open up windows to a world that I'm only marginally familiar with. I find that I am entertained and enlightened at the backstory behind those professions. Thank you so much. I do really love you for making the Office Ladies podcast reference because I love them. If you guys want to catch full episodes on YouTube, they are up every week. So that way you could actually see the videos that we play and all of that good stuff. They are up on Educator Andrea on YouTube. Thank you so very much for listening. I am your host, Andrea Forkham. A very special thank you to our guest co-host, Gabe Dannenbring. Our executive producers are Andrea Forkham, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. Our recording location is the Indiana State by College of Education. To learn more about our Those Who Can't Do's program, disclaimer and ethics policy, and submission, verification, and licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. Those Who Can't Do is a human content production. Thank you so much for watching. If you're like me and you're thinking, gosh, I really need more Those Who Can't Do in my life, you can start your binging right now by clicking on that playlist button right over there. New episodes are out every Thursday, so please subscribe and join us each week on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.